Hello, everybody. Let me make sure the sound is okay, as it is wont to move. It looks fine to me. Let's go free. A good Wednesday evening to all of you. We just got done with PWR, and I was rocking out here with a blurry lens on the camera, and leave it up to you all to try to guess what exactly I was rocking out to. But it's great to see you all. There's so much news. I just wanted to get on with you all a little while and see if we could cover some of this. Some good, some bad, some shocking, some wonderful. Talk about St. Elmo's fire is coursing over the whole of the platform and the house here as we move toward victory after victory. How is everybody doing, by the way? Is D Live working? Are all the platforms working? Can you see and hear me okay? Let me have a look. Captain Penguin is here, and I sent you a message back on D Live, not D Live, but DM on Twitter. Check that out. Juliet is here. Euphemia, Lord Groiper, Corey Bell, Politicide, Aline Sabatino. Hello, Jason. D Live worked for a while, but it's very unreliable. All right, let me look here. It appears to be working right now. Is it working for you all that are on the YouTube channel? Let me just take a quick look, and we'll pull it up right here and see if it's working for us or not. We might get a little bit of echo from me. Oh, it appears to be working. So that's good. Glad to see everybody here over there on D Live. Man, having a hell lot of fun. Does anybody have any guess for what I was rocking out to at full volume? Let's see. People saying hello. Great to see you all. David is here. Says, what's up? Promethean hails to you, David. Althea says, Double Trouble. What is that? The song I was jamming out to? I don't know. Or you mean the second? Yes, Double Trouble. We have the volume turned up in all ways, energy-wise, victory-wise. Red Pill Bulgaria is here. Chancellor is here, the fourth. Mantis is here. Hallelujah. I'm Sally. Why am I looking at a fuzzy screen with no sound? Well, because I can't let the sound come through, because if YouTube heard the song, they would immediately shut down the stream. So I was over here rocking out, and you all couldn't hear what it was, and then I had just a little bit of blur on the screen. I guess I could have taken that off at that point, but I didn't know when I was walking around inside here, inside the office, what exactly might be going on. So we left the blur on. Carol is here. Great to see you. Yes, bopping away to something. And let's see, what else do we have here? I'm not going to say Kat, your last name. The stream is not working properly. We are spying on Jason, writes Althea. And let's see, pre-stream, it was the pre-stream. Nordic Iron is here. Great to see you. She says, it's the reception on my end. I apologize for that. And we have Infinitely. Great to see you. All right, what do we want to talk? Great Raymond is here. Everything is up, he says. Thank you for letting me know that, brother. Yonash has made it over, even though it's the middle of the night. He now has a copy of Go Free, courtesy of yours truly, and he's going to be working his way through it and empowering the totality of his country to go free. We're waiting on him to be the new leader. Eternalism is here. Eternalism had a, you said something earlier. I didn't get a chance to stop the feed to see exactly what it was. It had something about Nick Fuentes in it. Hey, Lloyd Grouper writes, love the show. Thoughts on Nick Fuentes? Well, I don't know. What he said something like he was uncertain or didn't know about how effective going free would be, how persuasive it would be. I think we have an answer over here. So if he was expressing that he just didn't know yet, well, there's plenty of time to find out how effective going free is for everybody. I received another pages long testimony about a life change, and I get these most of these, fortunately, your testimonies. And let me tell you folks really quickly, and we're going to roll. Share your testimonies. If you're changing your life, if something is getting better, don't be afraid. Don't be shy. You can write me privately if you don't want me to share with anybody. Some of you don't want me to share it. Just say so in the message. I won't share it. If you put it in one of the threads, that's a great place to put your testimony so that others will see, and then they'll say, wow, this works. People like Nick Fuentes might come along and say, whoa, this really works. 5 people off the path to suicide, 5 brand new babies born, so many different things. People off of psychotropic drugs, people off of illegal drugs, people getting into the gym, people no longer having to take diabetes medication. And don't get off any of these medications without your doctor, ladies and gentlemen. Reclaiming our destiny begins with you personally. And it begins with treating the mean pathogens, which even Joe Biden himself, the corpse on the stage, let everybody know how detrimental it would be to non-white people if they were to feel like we thought something negative about them. Well, imagine that 10,000 times fold, teaching white children how dreadful they are, that they carry a poison seed inside of them. That's what each and every one of you are living with right now. And that it's keeping you not only from attaining your physical, mental, and spiritual potential, but also it is inflicting stress on you, incalculable sums of stress. Think about the stress that is inflicted on you when you believe that it is illegitimate for you and your people to be alive. You cannot calculate that. And if any other group of people were suffering from that, the anti-whites would be letting us know from dawn till dusk and all through the night, would they not? So, as a consequence of that stress, it's undermining a great many aspects of your body, the processes, and the longer you are alive with processes that are inhibited from doing what they're supposed to do in your body, the sicker you can become. It can engender illness. Just look up the effects of stress, and it certainly will exacerbate illness, bring to surface illnesses that you're predisposed to. So the first thing is treating yourself, going free of these mean pathogens, which is inducing what we refer to as white noir. That's the malaise that you just surface every aspect of your being. Begin down that path. Does it work? I don't know. How many hundreds of, now at this point now, hundreds and hundreds of testimonies that are written in threads that we have shared. And that's only a fraction of the testimonies of people's lives who have been changed as a consequence of going free, persuaded by the fact that this works. And this practice works, and then lives absolutely changed for the better. Once they begin working on themselves, they begin making a change in their own lives, and they begin making a change in the lives of those around them, their friends, family, and strangers, and talk about what a boon that is. And then that, of course, pushes out into communities. We have communities now that are adopting the practice of going free, from pagans of various stripes to Christians and Catholics of various stripes to atheists of various stripes, not only in the United States, but in Canada, in all over Europe, Australia, New Zealand, all over the world. This practice is one tongue, works all the way around, one great white ring around planet Earth. Does it work? I'd say yes. And this, I said, is only a fraction of the ones that I actually receive. The majority of people who are sharing are shy about sharing the transformation in their lives. But I will tell you this: if you have had a change in your life, especially some of these miraculous types of turned everything right around, we have people getting off alcohol, donning armor, one just very recently. When you have these change in your lives and you share this, you are doing a great deed. You can get started right away in your service to white well-being by letting folks know this works. This actually has value to it. And then they see it and they pick it up. How many people have changed because of a testimony they read? In fact, we have read testimonies, and we have a great many more to share. Andreas, he and his show and his entire group in Scandinavia, they are absolutely fixated, and they're great heroes. These people, the work that they're doing for white well-being, I salute everything that Andreas and his entire team that they are doing over there for our people. And he says they're absolutely fixated on listening to these testimonies one after the other. And he just made a glorious audio of one of the testimonies read, and I'll be sharing that this coming Sunday. A beautiful artwork that Andreas put together for all of us. And it's one of many, a great many. So let's move through this, and we'll see exactly why we have such a success here, why we are persuasive. Right now, we're working hard on getting people to adopt Crucible, to acquire this book, to read this book, because it is the story of their lives. If you're white and you live in Western civilization anywhere, but particularly in the United States right now, because we want to reach the MAGA people as many and as quickly as we possibly can, as we have this opportunity like none other than that you will ever see, more propitious than any time ever. in our lives up to this point to reach these folks. We want to reach them. This is the story of your life. It's the story of their lives. It's growing up in an anti-white world where we're made to pretend that the opposite is true of reality. We're made to pretend that the white race is on top of the world, that the white race, everything benefits the white race. All of the systems benefit the white race. All of the structures benefit the white race. All of the institutions benefit the white race. It doesn't matter whether they're public or private or religious or whatever it is. It's all benefiting the white race, when in fact we see that all of this harms the white race. It's a detriment to the white race. It siphons our intelligence, our money, our efforts, our love, our zeal for different things, whether it be religion or nationalism or patriotism or whatever you want to call it. It siphons all of this away to enrich and empower non-white communities at the expense of our community, and therefore at the expense of us as individuals. That's the reality of the world. And how did we get there? We get there in our schools. It starts at the earliest ages when we can't even read yet. And then it works its way up. By the time we reach middle school, and we're talking about 11 to 13 years of age here, it is full on, in your face, endless citations of how evil the white race is and why aren't you doing enough to take it down. It becomes a moral imperative to destroy white well-being inside that anti-white system. And you want to know how it happened? You want to resurrect or see the ghosts that are in your past, the ghosts that continue to haunt you with the chains and with the size and the rest. They come from your childhood. It is the anti-whiteism, the mean pathogens that you were taught, that you were infected with. And when you read this book, I already have so many people writing me. And if you're one of them, or you want to be one of them that ends up getting named, please share your story. Share it in the threads. You can, again, you can reach out to me on direct message on Twitter. You can reach out to me by way of nowhiteguilt.org. You can reach out to me by way of nowhiteguiltcollectibles.com. You can reach out to me on Facebook. It's easiest probably for me if you share it in one of the threads, but it doesn't matter, wherever it works for you. And only tell me that you don't want to share it if you don't want to share it. If it's private, if it's an email and you don't want to share it, that's fine. But otherwise, let folks know that, as I've shared others just this past Sunday, that the reading Crucible woke all of these memories up for that individual about, my God, that's exactly how I was tormented. That's exactly how I was physically and intellectually terrorized as a child. If that's happening for you when you read Crucible, let folks know. We got wonderful people writing these testimonies over on Amazon after reading Crucible. Thank you all for doing that, because that's going to have a big effect. And we still have a huge secret that we're going to reveal to you all on Sunday, working big for us. Other ads right now that are working are getting, we're now over, I will already tell you, over 100,000 impressions for Crucible because of the efforts that we are exerting here in service to white well-being, changing the tapestry, changing the milieu, changing the construct, the context in which we function, in which the MAGA people function, in which the anti-whites have to function. That is the 200 IQ level of how we are going to change our world. It is the way the anti-whites have done it. And I know that there are a great many people out there that are not going to be able to understand this because of their intellectual inabilities, because of their prejudices, because they're addicted to playing the villain or whatever else it might be. But the reality is, we're going to get out there. We're going to reach the healthy people. We're going to make the change, and we're going to change that context. We'll change that milieu in which the anti-whites have to operate. And by doing so, we will change everything, ladies and gentlemen. So it's great to be with you all. And I'm looking over at Andre Boston and Raymond Van Buskirk over on the Discipline channel. We're not going to be here very long. So Discipline with NWG, if you want to tag me over on the monitors to my left, your right, on monitors to my right, your left, it's No White Guilt. Remember to use the @ symbol unless you spell it out side by side. You can also get over on Entropy, where you can reach out to me on the Tall Question widget. The questions won't disappear there. You can upvote the questions if you like those, and it is up and running, as Raymond told us a little bit earlier. But very excited, a lot of news to talk about. We have just the absolutely despicable news that we learned just the past 2 hours that from Mark Collett on PWR, that his private bank account was revoked, just as we saw with Laura Towler's. This is despicable. This is the exact kind of thing, and we're seeing this. Does anybody know the name of that list that all the banks use? And they put you on the list. They put Henrik and Lana on this list, and they refer to this list. What's the name of that list? It's got a really simple name. They refer to this list, and they say, well, the people on this list are terrorists or drug dealers or possible child pornographers or all of these different things. And so therefore they are reluctant to give you an account. And that is the list that the anti-whites were able to get Henrik and Lana onto. And of course, they don't belong on this list. These are loving people. They have 2 beautiful children. They are just with love, serving white well-being, nothing else there that they are doing, nothing illegal, nothing immoral, nothing unethical. 2 wonderful human beings. And what are the anti-whites? They are the army of darkness. They are the army of the dead. They are soldiers of darkness. And they want to come and rob their children of the food that goes into their mouths, of the medicine that goes into their mouths, their bodies, their little bodies when they're sick, when their temperatures are 103, when their temperatures are 104. They want Henrik and Lana to not have the money to reduce that fever. The exact same thing holds true for Sophia, Mark's little child, little baby. They do not want Mark to be able to feed her, house her, clothe her, medicate her. They don't want him to be able to protect her. They want that little baby to suffer. Do the anti-whites care about white children? Absolutely not. Their only concern is to inflict injury in every single conceivable way that they can inflict that injury. This is what we should be focusing on when it comes to taking a bank account from Mark. Not this libertarian nonsense, not this, well, they are a private institution and at some level this little code or this little, that's the real problem, or this little law, that's the real problem, or this particular bank, that's the real problem. No, the problem is that you have something called anti-whiteism that is being inflicted on the totality of society. And not only is it something that's distant and large, but it's also proximate. It's also poisoning you and damaging the lives of those closest to you. When they do this to Mark, every single anti-white is complicit in this crime. Every single anti-white, not just the guys and the ladies not just these monsters, these demons at this bank, not just those people who work at that bank. Every anti-white you come across is responsible for the hardship inflicted on Mark's child, is the hardship inflicted on Henrik and Lana's children. They are all responsible for this. These are the kind of things that private institutions are already doing, and the Democrats in the United States, you can read the bills that they are presenting, the acts. I've got them all right here, the treaties that they're going to sign, etc. I have them all right here. You can look into it for yourself. And when you do, you might find, although be sure to check with CNN, you might find that they want to put into law all of these things that these private institutions are already illegally doing. And how are they illegally able to get away with it? Well, they're able to get away with it, as Mark just stated toward the end of the show, that we could assemble a bunch of money and we could carry forward a lawsuit against this bank. And then what's going to end up happening? Probably, almost assuredly, the lawsuit will be lost. Why is that? Not because the laws are working against us. Indeed, the laws are in our favor. The laws are in our favor when it comes to whether or not you can censor people off of these platforms. You know very well and good that YouTube and the rest of these wouldn't be able to censor off non-white groups that were expressing love for their peoples. They would be sued and they would lose the lawsuit. It would be said that this is the 21st century a public forum, the public square, and yet the same can't be held true for us. The reason why is something we talk about that we get that nobody else seems to understand. And that's that these laws, these codes, these etc., these explanations, these definitions, these descriptions, interpretations, they are all informed by an anti-white morality. And when they are, the anti-whites will discard what they need to discard, dilate what they need to dilate, and they will break the law where they want to break the law because they have no moral code. They have no moral backbone. They don't give a damn what they do as long as it achieves the outcome of inflicting harm on Western kind and Western civilization. So, you can also financially gift on Cash App if you are moved to do so. You can do so on Entropy at 15% Cash App, no charge whatsoever. And I'll pull that up here. You can, if you do financially gift with a question or a comment, you're absolutely going to be read. All questions or comments will be read before the end, or they'll be carried forward to the next Going Free stream, whenever that might be. Big things going on. The first of all, of course, is that most personal is this anti-whites doing this to Laura and to Mark. How is Laura going to be able to start her family? How is she with her husband going to be able to have their children when they can't find a bank? What's going to happen when Laura goes to another bank and applies for a checking, savings account, whatever it might be? What's going to happen when Mark goes to another bank and applies for a checking or savings account? Are they going to be found found to be stonewalled? Are they going to have a bank saying, no, you happen to be on some sort of list and we're not going to be giving you an account? Are they not going to be able to get a banking institution? And what Mark said at the end, absolutely true. And this is the kind of thing that the anti-whites who call themselves Democrats in the United States are trying to do when it comes to labeling, defining us and those who are heretical to anti-whiteism as terrorists. They want to be able to make it illegal to give you a bank account, to be able to give you food, a private citizen to be able to give you food, a private citizen to be able to give you money, a private, all of these things to be able to give you housing. They want to make it illegal for that to happen. That's where the anti-whites have to go. And what is this, if not exactly what I said was going to take place before 2020 started? I said the anti-whites over the course of this coming decade, and specifically over the course of this very first year getting started, did I not say this numerous times? If you heard these predictions, ladies and gentlemen, share them, because it will bring more people over to Going Free, something that will benefit them and therefore benefit all of us. And circling right back there to them and their families, I said this would be a decade of two storms, one of darkness, one of light. The anti-whites would grow stronger and they would inflict more injury than ever seen before on us. And that we simultaneously would grow in our ability, in our strength, in our reach out to our brothers and sisters. And one would not necessarily influence the other. I specifically said numerous times, do not look to a diminution of the anti-whites and their ability to inflict harm on us and their ability to do things like take bank accounts away, undermine all that we are doing. Do not look for a diminution in their ability to do what they do as a sign of our victory. You're not going to find it there. They're going to continue to get stronger day in and day out. They're going to continue inflicting increasing amount of harm, even while we continue on a parallel course to grow with the strength with which we are growing. Magnificent things happening in the foreground, in the background. We just had, and I'm still trying to look into this to find out exactly what it is. If you are on Facebook, I want you to go over to a comment I made. I don't exactly know how this works. I went over to Newt Gingrich's page. Now, I have spoken with this man when I worked on the Hill. I won't say more than that. But I will just say that on Facebook, he made a comment and he incorrectly used the concept anti-white by linking it to the concept racist. Now, this is going to be something that people who are a bit cowardly, people who are a bit new, are going to make this mistake, because they're going to think that they're going to have some sort of shield. You've never had a shield. If you're white, can never work as a shield for you. You never get the handle end of that weapon. You always get the blade when it comes to the concept racist. So he wrote on his Facebook, anti-white racism is just as bad as anti-black racism. What we need to do, go over to that Facebook thread and like the comment that I made to him when I said, drop the racist, it'll never work for you. Just use anti-white, Newt. Let him know that there's a power, a force of numbers of people who support saying this the way that it will work for us, using this tool the way that it will work for us, the way that the evil concept racist has worked for the anti-whites. That concept should become as difficult for you to say or more difficult for you to say than any word that you've ever used in your life. That's how unfamiliar, foreign it should feel in your mouth. That is how we should work. That is what we should achieve when using that word for all of our brothers and sisters. We should get to the point where it is so alien, so uncomfortable, so objectionable that we can't even wrap our lips around that dreadful trash concept of racism. Now, supposedly on Laura Ingraham last night, he said the concept anti-white. What I'm trying to find out now, did he say the concept anti-white? Did he pair it with the word racism? If you know, let me know. But we're moving in the right direction. These are the early adopters, ladies and gentlemen. We are reaching people before and behind the scenes, as I said. These are others out there who are early adopters. And I'm still trying to exactly track this down, but let me know what he ended up saying. I'm still trying to figure it out. And I've got some conflicting reports. We got other news to talk about really quickly. Just a bit of fun. I reposted my reading of Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven, and at the start of it says "through their curtain." The reason why is that this one will get through some of the countries that had banned my reading of The Raven in the past. This reading will now get through, and it'll be another way certainly during October, that we can reach more people who otherwise would not have ever seen us if you, or would not even be searching for us. Share that if you like, share it with family members, and they'll see that there is more side to us. In fact, we are a completely different group of people, a completely different movement, a completely different thought process than the ne'er-do-wells, the villain inside the anti-white narrative. They don't ever do things like read poetry and read poetry well, things that we enjoy, multifaceted people, not these two-dimensional characters that they give to the masses of our brothers and sisters. Everyone who represents anything heretical to anti-whiteism is this group. Everybody who cares for white well-being looks like this. Everybody who cares for white children talk like this. No, it's the exact opposite of what they would claim of us. And we are going to be that clarion, that crystal clear image of who and what we really are. Ordinary white America, white Australia, white Germany, white England, that we are the ordinary members of Western kind with normal sensibilities. And we are therefore accessible to all of our brothers and sisters to the tune of hundreds of millions around planet Earth. We'll make sure we reach every single one of them. So let's jump through some of these pieces of news. And one of the issues that we have to get to right here off the bat, we're talking about Mark and what's being done to Mark and Laura over in PA. We've been talking about what the anti-whites and the Democratic Party want to do in this country and globally. They essentially want to sick the CIA on groups like PA. And if they get into power, that will be the kind of thing that they will do. Make sure you check out whether or not that's going to be the case with CNN. I don't know for sure, but we have read you the bills. We have read you the acts. We have read you the treaties. And you need only go over to these on the government. You need only go to the Biden plan. You need only the government website, go to these different places and search for these bills and the like. Look them up and you'll see, indeed, you can interpret for yourself. It doesn't take a genius to work through the material, and you'll see what I'm sure CNN would tell you, the exact same thing that you will end up reading there. We have the McCloskeys with them. But before I go to the McCloskeys, I want to talk about what's happening. I just learned over the course of the previous show that the leaders of Golden Dawn, a group that is, I don't know all the specifics about it, but we do know that they are in some shapes and forms heretical when it comes to anti-whiteism, rejecting, I think, in some ways. And the anti-whites in power in that country have arrested all of the leaders of Golden Dawn, and they have declared the totality of the organization a criminal organization. So they have criminalized Golden Dawn now, and we can look for more of this kind of thing taking place. These are the anti-whites getting desperate as things look worse and worse for them, as the plans are adopted, as the dreams are adopted, the nightmares of anti-whiteism are adopted and implemented across society. We see the dystopian landscapes rather than the utopia that they promised all of the idiots out there who began to believe in it. They see indeed that everything is going down the toilet rather than streaking through the sky. And so this is another example. Golden Dawn leaders being arrested, the organization criminalized. Who knows how many other people will end up being arrested in that particular organization? Who knows how many others are going to be arrested and also banned or criminalized in other organizations across Europe and elsewhere around the world who are heretical organizations that they might not be there yet. They might not be where we are yet. But trust in this. They're going to have to get to the point of serving white well-being, of going free, if they're ever going to survive. This is the thing, ladies and gentlemen. We have planned ahead of time, even a decade ago, when I was working on these plans for bringing all of this to fruition. I was planning and talking with elders across the white positive sphere about this exact sort of thing happening. Remember, they've done things in the past, the anti-whites, like banned the bank accounts for particular organizations. They've banned political movements in the past. We could see that would be the kind of thing that they would do in increasing measure in the future. We had to prepare for that sort of thing so they wouldn't be able to easily undermine what we are doing here. This is something they cannot take away. This is the idea they cannot resist. This is a dawn rising on the west. That is a day that has come, that sets fire, metaphorical fire, to all the things that the anti-whites have built and breathes new life, a new spring into the body and spirit of Western kind. So we're seeing at the exact same time that this is happening over in France, they are banning homeschooling. And why would they do that? Of course, they would ban homeschooling because they want you to send your children to their institutions where they can infect them with anti-whiteism. And we see the kind of things that they are infecting our children with in the United States. And we've been talking about that, and people have been sharing their testimonies of the kinds of things that they are being infected with in the United States. It's coming in the way of the imagery. It's coming in the way of the entertainment, all of these things undermining very powerfully, the kind of the identity that the white children have, as it has happened as has been done to us in the past. But even worse, if you can imagine a poison getting worse over time. Parents in France vow to fight planned homeschooling ban. An estimated 50,000 children in France are currently homeschooled. Only 50,000. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. And they want to move to ban that. Parents who educate their children at home have vowed to fight President Macron's plan to ban homeschooling from September 2021 unless they have a medical reason. In a speech on anti-separatism, Mr. Macron said that education authority inspectors regularly discover children who are outside the system every week. Prefects close illegal schools, which he said are administered by religious extremists. So this is going to be the excuse in order to get the white majority, or what's left of the white population in France, to submit to this. It's going to be, well, we've got to close home schools so that you don't have to worry anymore about this complaint you might have by a particular religious group or whatever you might have. That is, we have been encouraging to grow like wildfire in the country. It won't matter, ladies and gentlemen. Rest assured that if France were legitimately, and I don't even think it will turn out this way, but if they were to legitimately ban all homeschooling for every race of people, for every religion, etc., again, I don't think this will be the outcome in the end, but we'll see. Even if they were to do that, they're still importing a number that radically changes everything. So just know that, again, anti-whites scrambling at the 11th hour because they can see that the great white giant of Western kind is finally coming to its senses, finally coming to his senses, and will take back his destiny from the viper that stung us in the calf so long ago and has continued to manipulate us with nothing but lies and excuses and the like. But they have grown wild with hubris, and now they reveal what is truly in their blackest of all hearts, and that is white erasure of Western kind, biological white erasure from all of our civilization, white erasure from our countries, as though those countries could persist without us. We have the McCloskeys here in the United States. And this is what I was talking about the what we're seeing here with the nodal tipping point. We couldn't know where we were before, but an age has passed, an epoch has passed. There's no more kind of resistance that we could hope for in the past, or we could expect in the past, that we would see in the past, where the Democrats get in power and then there can be this sort of pushback, a bunch of Republicans elected that mean a very specific thing, and other times something very different now that we can see by these nodal tipping point, too many nodes of power, whether elected or appointed or whatever, bureaucracies, departments are now in the hands of anti-whites. And we can see that movements, and there is no recourse. There are no people who are reasonable that people can have recourse to. The McCloskeys, this could not have happened. This could not have happened if the law were being obeyed, are indicted for unlawfully displaying their weapons. And of course, their attorney was saying, if you recall, their attorney was saying it's impossible. They just can't be indicted for this. So we'll see. This will go away. And this prosecutor, she's just crazy. He should have been calling her anti-white. Indeed, we see now that even though it can happen, even though it's not the law, even though the law doesn't allow her to, this prosecutor, this anti-white, non-white person, to be able to do this, she's still doing it. And they will still likely get a conviction, or it's probably more than 50% likely that they will get a conviction of the McCloskeys. And what does this do, whether they get a conviction or not? It sends a message to all of the ne'er-do-wells across the United States, all these anti-white hit squads across the United States and even elsewhere around the world, because similar things are being done, funded by the likes of anti-white oligarchs. It's saying that you have leeway to do what you want with them. You can show up in force. You can tear their wrought iron gates off. How many of you have a wrought iron gate on the front of your property? Not me. So very few of us have as much protection as the McCloskeys have. Hired personnel to protect their property, plus wrought iron gates surrounding the entire property. The hired personnel, even though it's private, it's a private organization, and there are plenty of them to choose from. And of course, they're choosing from the best that they can get. Libertarian losers out there. These people just flee rather than do the job of protect. What about all these like personal protection groups? Yeah, they saw what happened. They just fled. Then the mob shows up, tears the wrought iron gates off. They come into the yard. What more would they have done? What more would they have done to the McCloskeys, to their property, to their pet? They were making the threats. If the McCloskeys had not brandished their weapons, what more would they have done? This is sending a signal to the anti-white hit squads across the United States, militarized hit squads, that you have carte blanche, that you can do whatever you want. Because if anybody defends themselves with their right to self-defense, we will prosecute them for doing so. So you're going to end up with the decision to make. Are you going to defend yourself and go to prison for the rest of your life, lose your right to self-defense, and then not be able to defend yourself the next time? Or are you going to allow you? Are you going to beg these mobs? Are you going to turn over your property? Are you going to turn over your flesh? Are you going to join the mob so that you won't be devoured by the mob and then carry on this anti-white war against Western civilization? That is what they want you to do. And that is the message that this vile anti-white she-demon has sent to the totality of the population. That, and the other side of that coin, of course, is that to tell you, if you bother to try to defend yourself, you may be prosecuted for doing so. If you are so brazen to defend yourself that you take out not only a firearm, but I guarantee you, we will be seeing, and we can remember this prediction, we will be seeing people prosecuted for brandishing a sword, brandishing nunchucks, brandishing butterfly knife, brandishing a crossbow, brandishing a bow and arrow. It doesn't matter. You're going to see these anti-whites in positions of power prosecuting good Americans who dare to defend themselves against the anti-white mob. Your choice is only, according to these anti-whites in power, your choice is only to either submit, be devoured, and or participate with the revolution, anti-white revolution against Western civilization. And they are moving like there's no tomorrow. What do we see, though, on the other side of the spectrum, ladies and gentlemen? We see some wonderful things. Actually, before we get to that, I want to make sure we talk about this family right here, the Hochstetler family, where we have this family. They were doing their work wherever they were, their livelihood, feeding their family. They got a flat tire on a trailer, and they had to change the flat tire before leaving. Maybe not even aware that in most cases you could drive the trailer even with a flat on it. So they probably stayed to change the flat in part at that point because they didn't want to put other people's lives at risk. They didn't want to be out on the highway with a trailer that blows another tire because of the weight or what have you. The trailer ends up hitting a car. There's an accident, maybe kills or maims somebody. They were a good white family who were concerned with other people. And then what happened? They got even though they were in a very dangerous area, I'm guessing that they knew how violent the area was. And it's not violent because of the paint, the concrete, the blacktop, the trees that grow there, the names on the signs. There's a very different reason. You can look into it for yourself and determine for yourself. But at the very end of the day, you know you have to ask CNN because they have a phone to Sinai. So then they discover that a trailer light is out. Well, I can tell you what, I care about everyone else out on the roads. And I bet you two do as well, because you're probably a good person, whether you're a member of any race, if you're listening to the things that I have to say right now. But I can tell you what, being in that violent of an area, I would probably get myself onto the right side of the road, maybe even stick a flare on the back of the trailer and let it just burn as I go down the highway. I would have gotten out of that bad area. But this family made the decision that they were going to go out and they were going to fix the tail light on the trailer so that they wouldn't put anybody else at risk out on the roads. Again, an accident that could harm somebody else. They were thinking about others. What ended up happening? Some anti-white non-whites came up, murdered these people, murdered at least the mother in front of the 6-year-old son, who says to the father, shot in his neck, says, "Why did they kill my mommy? Why did they murder my mommy?" Something along this line. To the father, and hands the father the cell phone so that he can call for help. This you should be talking about with everyone. This is a perfect example of a hush crime, and use hush crime. Define hush crime. That is a premise that wins the conversation with your family, with yourself, with your friends, with everybody you could possibly talk to, your colleagues, your coworkers. Use the phrase hush crime. Let's bring pressure on this anti-white, non-white police chief who's making next to zero effort to track down who these murderers were and where they are. And again, make sure when you talk, and I don't know exactly, remember, I don't know exactly the effort that he's making or what they're making. It could be Herculean, but we do see that there has not been any arrests in this case so far. At least I believe that's what the story says right here. In Indianapolis, the Hochstetler family, and this is Wilma, who was shot, murdered in front of her children. The 6-year-old little boy saying, "Why did they murder my mommy? One of our children, one of our wives, one of our daughters, one of our sisters, murdered in front of her child and husband shot in the neck, and don't even know whether he is alive." This, again, is an example of how every single, so you're going to talk about hush crime, but you're going to talk about every single anti-white has the blood of this woman on their hands. Everyone. When you sit down at that dinner table with your family members, you are the one inflamed with righteous indignation. You are the one who's going to say to that family, anti-white family member, the blood is on your hands, whatever that person's name is. Husband, wife, daughter, sibling, or whatever it might be. The blood's on your hands because it's these ideas that is the reason why she's dead. They had already robbed these people and were walking away when they decided to murder them. They decided to murder them because they were white. Don't even bother telling me at any point that an anti-white harms, that a non-white person harms a white person magnanimously. Don't you dare try to tell me that they ever say to themselves, you know what? We're going to rape this white woman. We're going to murder this white woman. We're going to murder that white guy, but we're going to overlook all of this anti-white narrative about how evil the white race is and how many horrible things they've done to me and my people. Don't you dare try to tell me that they magnanimously murder and rape. They're thinking about the fact that their victims are white every second that they are committing those atrocities. Every second. You better make sure everybody you talk to knows about this. This is a hush crime, and it demonstrates that the anti-whites are in charge. This is why we don't know more about this. And it is no anti-white, non-white is committing a crime against a white person magnanimously, overlooking all of the harm that they are told endlessly and they believe endlessly that the white race has done. Take a look at this Kazi nitwit that Mark had an argument with, a debate with, and look at the fantasy. He would love to slit your throat based on the fantasies. And you think for a second that when he robs or rapes or murders or whatever he does to someone who's white, that he's not thinking about all of these fantasies? Well, so is that prick at the end of your dinner table. You let those people know. At the end of the office table, at the end of your lunchroom table, on the other side of the desk, on the other side of the bus stop, the anti-white scumbag that the blood is on their hands. The starving babies are on their hands. The babies going without the medicine, that's on their hands. Wilma Hochstetler, I think her name was, in Indianapolis. Anti-white, non-white police chief, not found the murderers yet. Media not talking about this because it's a hush crime, because it doesn't fit the anti-white narrative. We got to keep rolling because I got things to do. Here we have Biden, ladies and gentlemen. Here we have Biden, and I would love to get the quote from this absolute corpse. This absolute corpse talking to Haitian Americans in Florida. President Trump had just gone to Walter Reed for having COVID-19. Biden is talking to an audience of Haitian Americans. Everyone in the United States knows that many Haitians work in medical fields. Not all of them, but many of them work in medical fields and have access to patients in hospitals, in different imaging centers and the like, and good on this community for getting into those jobs. Many of the jobs that these Haitian Americans do are not the nicest of jobs, cleaning up messes and things like this. Good on them for doing that work where that work needs to be done. Every job has honor. Every job has dignity. No job is to be looked down upon. Everybody knows in the U.S. that many Haitians work in these capacities. And again, good on the Haitian community for doing so. And then this absolute corpse, Biden, says to this community while Trump goes into Walter Reed Hospital, that wouldn't it be the irony of all ironies if on election day, and of course, Biden doesn't know when Trump is going to be getting out of the hospital or if he's going to be getting out of the hospital. Biden says, wouldn't it be the irony of all ironies if the Haitian community delivered the coup de grace on the election while President Trump is in the hospital? Ladies and gentlemen, it is illegal to even joke about, and of course, check this out with CNN, to even joke about murdering the president of the United States. And if you want to remember how illegal it is and how serious the Secret Service takes it, just reflect on the 8 years that Obama was in office and the thousands upon thousands of people who merely made jokes about Obama and the Secret Service applying the law, showing up. Was this a joke? Were you kidding? Why would you kid about this? Just so you know, you're not allowed to kid about murdering the president of the United States. You're not allowed to joke about that. Even if you do it again, we're going to come back and charges will be filed. So what should happen now is that the Secret Service, and this should be big news, should show up at the Biden camp and should say, was this some kind of a misstatement? Are you suggesting that a death blow, you just said a death mercy blow should be given to the president of the United States by the Haitian community? That's a way, an easy way to interpret this. This is what the Secret Service should be saying. I'm not saying this. I don't speak for YouTube, and I don't have any truth. We know who has the truth. CNN has the truth. Secret Service should show up and say, is this a joke? And by the way, never say anything like this again, because this is illegal in the United States, you absolute corpse. But guess what's not going to happen? They're not going to be showing up to say that to this guy. And I guarantee you, for those out there who are going to say, well, this must have been one of his out of it moments. This was no out of it moment. This is a conversation that he is having with other handlers behind the scenes, real shot callers, vested interests, that they're saying this phrase, coup de grace, and in the hospital, and etc. And then he went out there and then said it on stage. This was a intended statement by Joe Biden, not just some sort of accident. This is where their minds are. This is what they, and why is that important? Not because we're sycophantic Trump worshipers, but because that's what they intend for you. Look at what they're doing to the babies of Mark and Red Ice. Look at what they're doing to their babies and to other people. What about Sarah Dye and her family and her babies? I mean, this is why I started talking about that. And that is really what it is. It's an attack on these families. Okay, so we move over to some positive thing. We talked about, I don't know if anybody has the comments about whether or not it was just anti-white or anti-white, racist or whatever Newt, the little lizard, used. But we have good things going on as well. Like Trump authorizes declassification of all Russia collusion documents, the Hillary Clinton email probe documents as well, saying, I have fully authorized the total declassification of any and all documents, is what Trump tweeted. President Trump on Tuesday said he has fully authorized the total declassification of any and all documents related to Russia investigation and the FBI investigation into former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's use of a private email server. Ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you this. This is going to demonstrate, again, the absolute reality of the dichotomy between those who have power and this anti-white, villainous, this oligarchy behind and before and out there in the scenes. We can see it's going to highlight it once again, that there's a reality, that there are people who can commit high crimes and misdemeanors and not be executed for it, not even be arrested for it, not even have Congress say, we feel that it was wrong to do X, Y, and Z, and there's no teeth there. These lies, this conspiracy, whatever you want to call it, remember what I'm talking about here, none of it's true. Check with CNN. But you all are going to have the documents, unless something magical happens, as far as I know, about everything, revealing everything that these criminals were up to. And of course, none of them, if their name is Clinton or name is, if they're Democrats, none of them are ever criminals. You have to look into it for yourself. Check with Snopes and these other entities to make sure you get both sides of the story. Nonetheless, these documents will be out there. It's going to reveal the abject criminality and reality of these individuals and what lengths they are willing to go to destroy everything that does what? That does what? You have to see this in the proper light if you're ever going to save yourselves or our people. Their efforts are to get into the way and to stop, to undermine, to cut the legs out from underneath of everything that troubles their endeavor, their objective of harming Western kind and Western civilization. Let's get it right. And we get it right here every single time. So that's another positive that's taking place. We've got the big news of Derek Chauvin released from the Minnesota jail. This is a police officer. The anti-whites used this. Remember, this case is totally immaterial. There is in Western civilization at every moment, because it has been made multiracialized by the anti-whites. At every moment, there's going to be somebody in power harming somebody who's not in power. That is the way all systems work. And because there's always going to be a bad person. And at some cases, there's going to be a white person is the one in power and a non-white person is the person not in power. When the anti-whites are ready and they want to, they can use any single one of these cases. Probably, who knows the number every single day. They can use any one of those cases to say, that's the one. That will be the name we will use. That will be the incident we will move forward on. That will be the excuse, the casus belli, for why we decide to release the anti-white hit squads on your city and then call them things like looters and then play down what they're actually doing by saying that they're just looting or they're just in some sort of insurrection. It goes far beyond that. These are militarized hit squads, specifically attacking, throwing Molotov cocktails, burning down a place, warehouses of records, burning down statues, tearing statues down, dragging them in lieu of our human bodies, in lieu of our actual bodies, behind crowds, pulling the flesh off them like Mogadishu style, hanging them in trees, setting them on fire, again, like Mogadishu style, ladies and gentlemen. That is what they're up to. This guy just got out on bail. And the comical thing here, of course, is the anti-whites have taken away the fence, the bulwark of bail to keep criminals in prison so that they won't just flee or do more crime once they get out of jail, and to keep them locked up until their trial. And bail is there to ensure that they won't do more crime, because then they lose everything financially that they had to put up, and to ensure that they return for trial, because if they don't, then they lose everything. Anti-whites have been moving everywhere, and as a consequence, you can look up on your own exactly in how many cases the anti-whites have freed people from prison, violent offenders from prison, even in cases where they said that they are going to absolutely, as soon as they're free, they're going to go kill thus and such. The anti-whites free them from jail, and then they go carry out exactly what they promised they would do. Check it with CNN and Snopes to make sure you get the other side of the story. I am not speaking for YouTube. The comical thing is that because of bail, this guy was kept a little bit longer in prison so that he could get the assets or whatever it was in order so that he could pay his way to get out on bail right now. If the anti-whites had their way, he would have walked free the very same day. Know this. You're going to see what looks like hypocrisy, but only the neophytes, only the vagues, only those who are still within the anti-white narrative, and therefore their head isn't above water yet. They're still drowning. The bubbles are still coming out of their lungs. Only those people are going to see hypocrisy in its truest sense, because they're going to see the anti-whites say, well, get rid of bail when it's for some sort of anti-white offender, but then you never let somebody out of jail if they're heretical. We know here that there is no hypocrisy there, do we not? We know that in both cases, the anti-whites obtain their objective, the infliction of harm on Western kind and Western civilization. Make sure everybody knows that. Make sure you explain this to them. Make sure they know out there in the rest of the white positive sphere and on periphery, wherever you roam, that when they think it is pure hypocrisy, that they're still underwater, that they're still drowning, they don't fully understand yet. There's a measure of hypocrisy when you see it from your angle, but let me pull you out of the water. Let me give you a hand up so that you can see the world for what it really is. Derek Chauvin released from jail. Okay, let me see what stories I may have missed. I wanted to get to quickly while I was with you all. And the only one I think I haven't gotten to is White Noise. This piece of fictional filth that is going to be passed off as a documentary. Nothing but filth. And I haven't had an opportunity to look into it yet, but I will tell in depth yet. But I will tell you all this. As soon as this garbage comes out, I will immediately watch this, and we will talk about it. We will talk about exactly what they cover in here, how to handle this when talking with your friends, family, and strangers. This is obviously going to be designed to bolster every pillar of the anti-white narrative. And then they're going to be using losers from inside the white positive sphere, whether they were genuinely white positive at some point or not, or just hedonists or just egoists or whatever it might be. They're going to be using these people, and they're going to say, this is the face. If you care about white well-being, if you care about white people and their children and their future and whatever it might be, this is what it looks like. These liars, these egoists, these people who tell the public one thing and then tell everybody else in private something else. These people who speak one way in public and then speak another way in private. And we see, of course, this imbecilic. I've got to watch. I don't want to pass too much judgment on it right now. I'm really going to quickly see what you all have to say. I'm going to get a drink of some caffeine. I'm going to see what you all have to say. Then I'll maybe read some of this, maybe speak to what some of what you all wrote as questions or comments, speak to some of this, read some of this off this white noise inside the heretical right. So they're inside their anti-white narrative. We don't identify with any of this. None of this has anything to do with us. None of this has anything to do with white well-being. None of this is representative of who and what we are. You can come from this place. You could have been in one of these groups, in one of these places in the past, but here is where you get redeemed. Here is with the fire of going free, the baptism of fire of going free that's cast by the rays of that western sunrise upon your body, mind, and spirit, where it washes all of this away from your past, and you are taken back to those earliest moments when in pure love and pure self-sacrifice, you decided, I love my people enough that I'm willing to sacrifice my life, my time, my energy, my intelligence, my industry to protect our people, to protect our heritage, to protect our most vulnerable members, to protect, for the love of God, our children from what the anti-whites did to us and what they're trying to do to them today, what they are indeed doing to them today. So let me take a look at what you all are saying over here on Entropy. We have the great Sakis financially gifting $3. A big salute to you, doing marvelous things. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, Sakis is moving. And one of the reasons I wanted to jump on quickly, and it's already 5:12 Eastern Standard Time, and I've got to roll. I've got work. I've got to eat. I've got things I've got to do for white well-being. We're making it happen. Sakis is one of those people making it happen. He is working on a commercial right now. He posted a thread, and that thread, on the thread, he posted a comment on the thread under the TAP episode, the most recent TAP episode. Get over there, comment on there, see what he's doing. He's putting together a commercial for Crucible. We need to get this book out to as many as we can while we have the opportunity to do so. Now is going to be the best time, the biggest return you're going to have for your investment. Do it now. This is like selling water to people out in the desert who haven't seen water in a week. Now's the time to hit. And Sakis says here, I think YouTube has shadow banned me. I don't see my comment and about the ad I'm working on posted on the TAP episode. with Tim Murdoch anymore. I only have my phone right now, so I can only use Entropy. Let me know, ladies and gentlemen. Somebody jump over there, see if pinned to the very top of that thread, if there is a comment, a long comment about and it's crowdsourcing about the commercial that Sakis would like to do. And if you could get back here, tag me, let me know. Tag our great moderator, Raymond, who's with us. Let him know so that he can let me know if I miss it. Let's find out if it's still up. He's still looking for help. He needs some voiceovers. He needs a bunch of people to try out with these voiceovers, because some people's mics are going to be no good. Some people's processing is going to be no good. Some people's environments are going to be no good. Some people are just not going to be right for that particular part, but you might be right for somewhere else. He needs a lot of people to try out to get the best voices. I know he's thinking about Jared George. I know he's thinking about John Bruce Leonard. If you these people might be good. You might be good. Let's help him out to make this a reality. He and Groundhog Fury are doing amazing things, and we'll talk more about that. Learning, and I'll just say briefly now, learning new skills to be able to serve white well-being. There is nothing more glorious. Nothing more glorious, ladies and gentlemen. Big round of applause for Sakis and Groundhog Fury. We're going to jump on over to Hansa, who financially gifted $10 here. Thank you, brother. I couldn't make the stream last Sunday, but here's my weekly pledge to white well-being, to the white well-being shield wall. Keep strong and stay happy, Jason, brother. Well, Promethean hails to you, our great hero, Hansa. Thank you for being here with us. Let me swivel around and see what we have here on Cash App. Rolling fast, ladies and gentlemen. All right, looks like we're blank over there, so good. I see Nancy Drew is here, 41 BMC, great to see you both. K-Max is here. Ashley is here. Hello to you all. Diane, wonderful to see you. White Witch, wonderful to see you. Cast some spells for us. We're making it happen. Let's see. Caesar is here. Hello to you. Great to see you. Elaine Sabatino is still with us. Rambling Rattlesnake. That's a great name. Great to see you. And the great Donning Armour is here. Haunted by a Ghost is here. Great to see you. Corey is here. Damon is here. All the heroes, the advanced placement class. So is Jesse, no offense. Great to see you. So's Mark. Advanced placement class. We're the people who are getting it done. We're the people who are not just complaining. We're the people who are seeing the world the way it actually is. I'll briefly tell you what I told somebody last night, ladies and gentlemen. That is this. Something reminded me of years ago of a conversation I was having with an individual in his home. And he was talking about how we need to change the public's perception and their definition of a particular term or concept. I can't remember what it was. It could have been the anti-white concept racist, but it could have also been something else. And I tried to argue with him. I tried to debate with him that, no, we should be, I see Melody Dawn is here. Great to see you. We should be doing things that we're actually capable of doing. And I tried to tell him why that's not possible. He wasn't getting it. He just kept sticking with, no, we've got to do this. It's the only thing we can do. We've got to do it in this total mid-wit fashion. And when we got outside of his house, we were walking out to his car. We were both going somewhere, maybe to a meeting. I can't remember where it was. And then I asked him, I said, you know what? You want to change the definition for hundreds of millions of people of this particular concept. We just walked out of your tiny, crappy townhouse, and we're going to be getting into your rust-covered Honda in a minute. And then I didn't say anything, and I just let him think. And I think maybe for the first moment that we had been talking, nothing wrong with a tiny, crappy townhouse or a rust-covered Honda. But I think for the first moment, his eyes got a little bit wider and he got really silent. And for the first moment he saw, he had just been fantasizing for the previous hour or whatever it was that we were having that debate. We are the people in this community in service to white well-being that are doing the things that can be done while we have the opportunity to do it, when we have the opportunity to do it, before things are changed in a way that it has to look very different for us to be able to move forward. We might have 4 more years if Trump gets 4 more for us. But we have got to work fast, and we are the people who are making it happen. We are the people who are changing the tapestry. Over here on the question widget, Yonash, I think I'll try to make myself an English Czech dictionary for your vocabulary to use it more naturally. Not going to be easy. Best of luck to you, but remember, brother, where there is no great there's no great Czech word that works perfectly for the English, just use the English word and then provide your definition in your language. Also, thanks again for Go Free. Would love to buy all of the books in paper. Hopefully, in a few months, I'll get my own bank account and save enough money to do so, hopefully in time for second edition. Best of luck to you, brother. We'll know you'll be able to achieve anything you set your sights on. And he writes here, COVID situation in the Czech Republic is not good. Most high schools and universities are closed and on distance learning for 2 weeks since Monday, including my school. Of course, we can't say much about COVID-19, except that on YouTube, we agree with everything that YouTube and the World Health Organization says about COVID-19. Lord Hendrickson is here. Great to see you. And he says, made a spicy meme to push people away from failed ideas and toward white well-being. Hope you guys like it. Can I please be unblocked from the live chat? What live chat are you blocked on? And I will unblock you. Just let me know. Is this the same meme, but you change the A word? There's certain words, of course, that the general public are going to associate with the ne'er-do-wells, the villains in the anti-white narrative. We might know, historians might know, you might know, I don't know. But what this word means, linguistics might know that it means something other. What we need to concern ourselves with is how are our ordinary brothers and sisters, the vagues out there, going to understand certain words like this A word when they read that word. And if they look at that word, we can say definitively that ordinary folks are going to look at that word and they're going to think about certain regimes, and they're going to think about all of the CSI episodes they saw and all of the Friends episodes they saw. And I don't know all the different TV shows, but all the different TV shows that they saw where they use that word in association with ugly people who were hated by everybody around them, who wanted to do terrible things to innocent non-white people because of their immutable characteristics. And then they're immediately going to say, nope, not going to listen to another word you have to say. Even if you cherish these things, ladies and gentlemen, you may well cherish them, symbols, etc. You might know what they really mean. You might know where they really come from. You might know all the true this and all the true that, but know that the general public does not. Know that they are going to see it as the exact opposite of what you might think it is. Take those things, put them in places of reverence. Do not throw pearls before swine if that is what it is for you. Instead, let's speak to our brothers and sisters where they can hear us, where they can hear this plea for their lives, for the welfare of their children. By God, we've got to do this while there's time. It was a great little meme that he made, Lord Hendrickson. And he did change it. Okay, this is the one, brother. I've got to go. I've got to quickly go. We will share it this coming Sunday. It's a wonderful meme, Lord Hendrickson. And if you're banned on No White Guilt, I'll unban you there. I have you here. I have the meme. It's not going anywhere. Thank you so much for that wonderful meme. And it's coming this Sunday, unless we do a going free between now and then. It just depends, because things are happening quickly, as you can see, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, brother, for that creation. Jonas says, did you do more research? I haven't had an opportunity to do the research on the war there, but we will, first opportunity we get, we will look into that. Let me distribute these points to folks on D Live. Got a roll here, ladies and gentlemen. Had a great time with you all going free. We've got things to make happen. This piece of filth coming out, and we'll be tweeting about it. We'll be letting people know about it, called White Noise, a pure fiction. And do not doubt. Do not doubt. Well, actually, you know what? I probably can't say it's pure fiction, because that'll be something that Snopes will be able to let us know, or CNN will be able to let us know. I yield to individuals who are anti-white, and they call themselves progressives, liberals. They work at Snopes, they work at CNN, they work at MSNBC, they work at Facebook, whatever they are. I yield to their determination. If they say this is 100% factual, then that, of course, is what it is. But we're going to go through this, and we'll cover it in the best way that we possibly can, even if it means we have to do it elsewhere. 1 week after the 2016 presidential election, white nationalists, do you hear that, ladies and gentlemen, gathered in Washington, D.C. to celebrate Hail Trump, Hail Our People. The far-right leader, Richard Spencer, and here they're talking, ladies and gentlemen, again, remember, the anti-whites need to perpetuate this, the spectrum. Do not use the spectrum. You can tell people that the spectrum exists inside the anti-white narrative, does not exist outside of it. You get out of it. It's all the same. We know that already. Why bother saying it? Why bother saying it's two wings on one bird, or it's two different limbs of an octopus, or whatever it is? Just say you're not part of it. We know that they need that spectrum to continue. We know that they need that window to continue. We know that they need, because it manipulates you, it manipulates your thought, it manipulates your ability to find your way out of the poisoning that they have inflicted on you and your children. We know that they need to perpetuate the idea of something called an alt-right, which was really just a fad, which who said so from the very beginning? We said so from the very beginning. A fad that we said would just pass like every fad, just like bell bottoms. And like bell bottoms, it went the way of the dodo. So the Atlantic's cameras captured exclusive footage of this moment, and the clip was shared widely on the news network and social media platforms around the world. So many lessons here, ladies and gentlemen, lessons that I learned a long time ago and that I suggested the exact opposite of the decisions that were made, and it ended up going bad for all of these people. Everything that I say here, you'll be able to see that everything that they ended up doing, everything that they participated in, everywhere that they agreed, everywhere that they said, well, let's come to some sort of, you must be some sort of normal person. I'm sure that you will treat us fairly. They lie, the anti-whites, every single time. They are soldiers of darkness. They are kings of lies. They are the potus of poison, ladies and gentlemen. Flee from these. I mean, it's just like the Muhammad Ali, a slang of anti-whiteism. That is what these individuals are. They are bringers of death. They wield a scythe, and they're coming for your life. We don't have any more time. I have to go, ladies and gentlemen, but I'll cover more of this. We'll be on top of this wretched lying story. We'll give it another name, though, because we know that when we call it by the name that they've given it, that the anti-whites are going to deem it absolutely true and factual in every way, shape, or form. If you're new, if you're seeing this for the first time, ladies and gentlemen, this is where you reclaim your life. This is where we recapture our destiny. You in your personal life first, with your addictions, with your health, with your finances. Are you underwater with your finances? Are you underwater with credit? Do you have massive loans that you have to pay off? Have you done this because the anti-whites have led you this direction? Have you made bad decisions? Every one of them is a result of anti-whiteism functioning in your life to a greater or lesser degree. For God's sakes, take back your life. We do it there. We do it within our families. We do it within our communities, and we take it out to the larger community. One more quick check here just to make sure that we are clear. We have 41 BMC, great hero, coming in as always, financially gifting $10. I salute you, sir. Thank you very much. In honor of Cross Eyes on the right tonight. Cross Eyes, right? We named him that. And he must maybe still writing his articles. Thank you very much, 41 BMC, for coming in and financially gifting in the name of Cross Eyes. David says here, have you read Individualism and the Western Liberal Tradition? If that's an older book, then I believe I have. The name is very familiar. Let's see, Jonash, don't forget the question widget. I got it. I don't recall the specifics of that text, but Lord Groiper says firewall. To whom? A firewall on somebody's... Oh, no, farewell. I'm sorry. That's what happens when I scroll back and finally see what was written. Farewell, he says. Ashley says, see ya. C. McGee says, good day, sir. Jesse says, no offense, says, bye, Jason. Goodbye to you all. Be seeing you soon. And we will get on top of that story as soon as possible. Let's see. Rambling Rattlesnake, thanks for the compliment. You are welcome. Got the question widget. Great to see you all here. I think we've covered everything we can at the moment, but we'll be back. Keep pushing, ladies and gentlemen. Stay excited. We're at the middle of the week. Let's keep pushing through to the end of the week, getting out to as many people as we can. If you haven't already grabbed the clips that other people have done, grab them, post them, share them, join First Amendment groups, Second Amendment groups, pro-life groups, join these groups, everyone that you can think of who might be amenable to the message that we have of white well-being. We aren't these groups that this wretched so-called documentary is going to be sharing. We are the exact opposite of that. Those are the characters. Remember this when you watch that. Those are people playing the character in someone else's story. Talk about being manipulated. Talk about being used. Talk about being chumped. Talk about being fooled. When you get into their story and they laugh up their sleeves, the anti-white oligarchs, with their 200 level of IQ method of control, they laugh up their sleeves and they tug on their vests, their expensive vests, when they see you fall into the character stereotypes. You are a stereotype, or you were a stereotype when you played in their story. And now when this documentary comes out and they say, look at these fools, look at these stereotypes, that's what they are. Look at human beings deciding of their own volition, not even having to be forced, not even having to be paid, not even having to be pressured, not even having to be blackmailed, because they swim in the water of that story. They can't free themselves. Well, we have freed ourselves here in Going Free, ladies and gentlemen, and we are taking back our destiny one person at a time. I love every single one of you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go free.